Okay, today we're taking apart an LG G5 from Verizon. These, from what I hear, are pretty easy to disassemble. First thing, we're going to take out the battery. On this side right here, there's a little button. All you got to do is depress that, which is actually not the easiest thing to depress. Once you got that pushed in, the battery just slides out of there. Set that off to the side. We don't need to do anything with that. This phone actually came in with water damage. Most places won't deal with water damage. I'll at least tell the customer I'll give it a try usually. Next, we got on the same, actually opposite side, sorry, as the button. We got a SIM card slot here. Gotta remove that. Set that over there with the battery. Okay. And down here, we got just two Phillips head screws, which is nice. I guess no security bits in this one from what I see so far. LG doesn't mind if people fix their own phones, it looks like. Like some of the other companies out there, they're using all kinds of stuff. Apple with their tri-bit screwdrivers are following after Nintendo now. I'm going to throw the screws over on my magnetic mat. Always good to keep track of what screws come from where. I actually don't have a mat for the G5, so I'm using a iPhone 6 mat, but as long as you keep track of which screws go in what order, basically, you'll be fine. We're going to take and use plastic opening tools because we don't want to mar the surface here. And as any repair tech knows, you got plenty of them, so you might as well just take and use them up when you get a chance. You're going to attempt to go in here and pop the display. Getting your first dig in under the metal is usually always the biggest pain. Let's see if we can spread this open a little bit here. And then we're sliding around some, that's why we're using plastic. Might have a little bit better luck with one of the actual opening tools. Well, other than this part not wanting to pop for me, these are supposed to be easier than this. Give me 1 second to see if I can get a plastic piece under here. To come up a little bit over here. I'm not making much progress on it other than that. The only thing about the plastic tools, they disintegrate on you as you try to use them. And I just broke off another piece, but hey, it's making a gap. There we go. And the screen does have a plastic edging, but try not to bend up on it too far. Got our first gap in there. Probably best bet, stick one down here. Actually, stick one of these already broken ones in there. Let's see. Sometimes better to dig out the thinner guitar picks for this. That way you can slide them down in there and manage to wedge them in without worrying about breaking anything. Anytime you're prying against glass, it's always a good idea to use the plastic ones, even though they break. Probably gonna break a couple more before this is done. Some videos sometimes will make this look easy, and the reason for that is they've already had it open before they actually show you on the video, which I don't like to do. I like to show you the actual struggle so you know what you're actually in for. No sugarcoating here. This repair is not as easy as it's stated to be, because obviously you're trying to pull out a piece of glass that you possibly don't want to break. Now, if your screen's already broke, it's going to make the repair much easier, because obviously you can just woof on this thing as much as you want and not have to worry about breaking the screen. Let's see if I got an actual thin guitar pick in here, see if we can get under there further. These clips are kind of in an annoying place and they don't like to pop, it seems. I need even a thinner guitar pick. Ah, there we go. Green ones I got are the thinnest. Hopefully I don't break it off too badly. Looks like I'm bending pretty bad. Okay, looks like the clip's right about there. So let's see if we can get the other one down in there. Get that clip to pop. There we go. And that's sometimes the trick, is just find where the clip is and then apply pressure right at the clip. If you apply pressure too far down from it, you'll cause the screen to flex and you'll have a broken screen. And in my situation, a broken screen is going to cost me more than the repair's worth. Oh. I mean, if the water got in the screen too bad, I mean, you may have to replace the screen anyways, but see where our next clip resides here. Okay, it looks like all those ones are done. There we go. Now we can pull that apart. Knock any bits of plastic that we got jammed down in there out of the way. Interesting design by LG here. Everything's very easy to replace, but we're looking for anything that looks water-like. It looks like I got a little bit of corrosion up on that one contact there. They said the water entered the top of the phone, but as we see, it did trigger the water sensor all the way down here. So probably ran right down the back of the battery. Phone does some weird things, mostly in the screen though, it seems. But I did forget to bring my pen with me. And by pen, I mean fiberglass pen. Easily picked up at your local Radio Shack or, well, any other store that sells stuff like Radio Shack, because Radio Shack ain't really around anymore. You probably order one online also. Just basically little bits of fiberglass that just allow you to sand off stuff like corrosion in here. That one's probably not too major, but while we're in here, we might as well get every little bit cleaned up. And there you go. Looks much better in there. Well, let's go down one more layer here. And it looks like they were nice, and even these screws in here our Phillips heads. Okay, and we got one. And I'm going to check to see if all these are the same length while we're at it, so we can tell if we need to keep them all in very separate quadrants to know if they can all be put back in the same places, or if we can actually put a little bit of play on them. Let's see. Ooh, probably should get this one out of the way. Ooh, I'm seeing something that doesn't look too good there. Right next to our screen connector there. Got a whole mess of corrosion going on. Surprised the screen's even still working. Might be our only culprit, but we're going to go down one more layer to see if there's anything going on the back side of the board. And even if you just take and have a magnetic mat and just line up the screws so you know what order to put them back in, and just remember which direction you went across the board and re-follow back in reverse. And we could probably remove the camera there too, or at least the connector for it, see if there's any more corrosion down in that area. That corrosion up there is more than likely the main culprit. Pretty bad up there. Try to make my videos as totally encompassing as possible, which obviously this is the same process you'll go through for a screen replacement. So I mean, if you're not dealing with water damage and replacing the screen, you still got to take all these same screws off of the screen. It looks like they got all the boards right attached to the screen. As far as repairs go, it isn't too bad. Like I said, the blocking your view there. Getting past the screen itself is the most difficult. So if you're replacing the screen, this repair is probably a 1 or 2 out of 10 for difficulty. And if you're trying to keep the screen from breaking, it brings it up to probably about a 7 or 8, really. Just because, well, anytime you got to bend it, glass, not break it, you got to be really worried. Okay, let's get the little front-facing camera out of the way. And we're going to see if we can pull this motherboard up. Oh, yep, looks like that just slides right up out of there after the screws are out. Oh, no extra connectors or anything. Now let's go through and take a quick look at all the rest of the board, see if we see anything that looks corroded like the front. We got lucky and only like 1 drop of water made it inside there. Oh, we got a few spots. Had to look at it closer with my actual eyes, but right down in this vicinity there's a couple discolored components, and right over there there's a couple. Very mild overall. Screen itself looks pretty good at inspection here. Ooh, actually up in the connector there. See if I can get it to focus on it. Right there on this side of the connector, looks like there's some corrosion too. Hopefully I can get that out of there and they won't have to get a new screen. I don't think I have any left. If I have any, I'm going to use a little bit of fingernail polish remover on some of the board too. It has no conductivity, so if you don't get it all out, it's usually safe, and it tends to eat corrosion for breakfast, so. Give me 1 second, I'm going to see if I have any left. Yep, looks like I do. The conductivity of acetone is 0.000001. Whole bunch of zeros. I don't know exactly how many. But you want the 100% stuff. You don't want any other chemicals mixed in there. And it'll pretty much take most corrosion out. And like I said, it doesn't conduct electricity, so it's not going to hurt anything. I mean, obviously don't get it on the plastic components. Acetone does eat those. So we're going to try to clean them a little bit here with the fiberglass. And then, like I said, we're probably going to re-clean them a little bit with acetone and see where we go. And if you don't know, you can just pick up acetone at Walmart or wherever you like to shop for your normal groceries or whatever, and most likely they'll have fingernail polish remover, which is acetone. Oh, we got an antenna problem here, it looks like. Yep, we're saying something about having some antenna issues. Got a little bit of corrosion under the actual antenna there. I'm sorry about going off the camera a few times here or there, but I do need to inspect with my eyes up close just to make sure everything looks good and clean. Viewing through the camera isn't always the easiest. Obviously, don't push too hard on anything. You don't want to be breaking components off, because then you end up with micro soldering. And I do that work, and it is no fun. Let's pull the other camera out of our way for a minute. Wait. Oh, it has like a double back-facing camera hookup of some kind. Never looked into that before. I personally use a Galaxy S8, so I mean, interesting. Let's see here. I do have to say I do like LG's design here. I do not like the interface on the Galaxy or the LG here, though. When I was playing around with the phone to see what the symptoms were, I didn't like the way that the Android looked, but I mean, you can always modify that yourself. Okay, let's flip over here and get the really bad spot over here. Ooh. Okay, we got a lot of that clean. Grab a Q-tip. You don't need a lot. I mean, if you come down to the worst of it, you can't get a board to work. You've tried everything else. I mean, you can just take and soak the board in actual acetone to loosen up corrosion, but you got to be careful because you may take out some of the little plastic connectors in here. Might get a little brittle, or just altogether melt on you. I mean, they're harder plastics. They're usually not too bad to deal with, but I mean, like I said, if it's only a last resort, you don't want to be soaking stuff in acetone if you don't have to. I've done it a few times, had a few boards come back to life that way, but not something you want to do every day. Especially in these little ribbon connectors, though. You want to be careful not to have the ribbon connectors start to fall apart on you. And obviously you can't soak the screen itself in acetone, so just do a touch and dab effect here. A little scrub here and there and see if the corrosion comes out of the connector, which is starting to look a lot cleaner. Also, when you pop it in, you can pop it in and out a few times, which will help clean the connector itself. This phone was actually powering on, so that's why I'm not too worried about it not working when I get back together here. Only thing I'm hoping is that fixed a couple issues they were having, which was with the antenna. and the screen was doing some weird things, and those are the two spots that we could see a decent amount of corrosion. So doesn't seem like they fried any components, which is a plus when you go start one of these repairs. So there's not a whole lot of point in starting a repair on something that's completely dead unless you're really bored and don't have any other repairs to work on. You might as well give it a try. But make sure if you do that, you tell your customer that it's probably not going to work. That way they're not thinking, oh, my phone's going to work, and then it doesn't. Sorry about the jiggly camera. I still don't have a very good mount. Using a weird little mount system that I have, and it's not the best. Something I just did figure out though is be careful where everything comes from. All these camera connectors are interchangeable. I was just trying it out. This connector will literally fit in all of them. So you could accidentally mix up your cameras if you're not careful. Like literally you could move this little guy like over here or something weird, and I mean you'd obviously be able to tell it didn't work, but those are universal connectors that LG must use. Okay, we got most of our cleanup done. Let's do a quick reassembly here, and hopefully our symptoms are all fixed. Acetone being that it evaporates, you don't have to really worry about cleaning it back off with like rubbing alcohol or something. It does the exact same thing as rubbing alcohol, just goes right up into the air for you and gone it is. Okay, let's see, we got that back together. Look back on that, and like I said, we're gonna connect in this connector here, and we're going to pop it and reconnect it a couple times. Be very gentle with it. You don't want to go breaking the screen connector. I mean, obviously, if something isn't working right with the screen and the screen's still not fixable, the customer may want you to put a new screen on it anyways while you have it apart. But if it's your mistake, you don't want to go having to replace it on your own, dime. And some people would probably say, well, you can tell the customer whatever you want. But what I've learned from practice is that truth is your best bet, because, well, you lie to one customer and then it gets found out or something, you could destroy your whole reputation, and that is something that you cannot get back. Word of mouth will spread that like wildfire. I've seen it happen to a few people I know, and it's not something you want to do. Yeah, sometimes it may cost you a little bit more. You break a screen, you take and you tell them, oh crap, I broke your screen, just trying to fix it, and you replace it, and they know that you told them the truth on that one, that you made a mistake. It makes you seem more human. And also, they'll tell their friends, hey, he's honest. Or she, sorry, don't mean to leave out the girls. And you may get more business that way. I've actually gotten some business from that. The people were happy that I told them the honest answer of what happened to their system. And a lot of times I end up playing system forensics with some things. Mostly that involves children in systems, which I see a lot of. Yeah, my kid says this isn't working. And usually it's because they broke it. This phone, though, they knew what happened. It was a little bit of submersion. I believe the top, they said, hit the water. That's about it, like a splash practically. Therefore, why it's still working fine, isn't destroyed. It doesn't look like it was salt water or anything. They weren't too specific on where the water was. Probably toilet, I'd be surprised since they weren't being specific. Okay. Now we can just basically push this back together. And it's probably another spot where you don't want to break your screen. see if we can do it better this direction. That didn't go in too bad. See if prying the metal back out of the way as we're trying to push will help it along a little bit. This one, though, does require a full assembly, basically, to retest it, which is kind of probably not the funnest thing in the world, but hey, you do what you gotta do. And these I actually get quite frequently, which is water damage. Due to the fact I am the only repair person in town where I'm at that will even touch water damage. Any other place around here, you say water and they're like, I don't know, I don't have a clue how to fix that. And I guess I say that's because they don't know their electronics as well. They just follow basically a base plan of action. It's not too hard though, as you see. You just look for wherever you see green junk that doesn't belong there. Okay. Looks like we got all our edges back in. Take and put our couple screws there back in. Now these are only two that are different than other ones, by the way. I did take a look at them as I was putting them all back in. I mean, I followed them back in the right order just to be on the safe side. But it does look like all the screws are the same length, so if you mix up one, you're like, oh, don't worry, you're probably not going to break anything. Not guaranteeing that, I mean. Could be a micron that I'm not detecting of difference, and it could be like the iPhone 5S where you destroy traces on the board when you put the screw back in, because traces get marred by the screw going in a little too deep. Okay. Let's put the SIM card back in. And the battery. Like I said, this phone goes together nicely though. I like how everything kind of just pops in place and pops out and just does its thing. By the way, the power button's on the back of this one. It's interesting, which I believe is a fingerprint scanner also. Not my phone, so I haven't had a chance to test, but reminds me of the fingerprint scanner on the iPhone, actually. Pretty sure that's the fingerprint scanner. Okay, looks like we still have some lines in the screen there. That wasn't their major complaint, so might have to ask them about that one, see if that's still a problem. I'll have to make sure the touching's working better. And the big one is that we have signal on the antennas. Not that I have very good signal here at the shop, but okay, come on. Oop, looks like the phone's still doing some weird stuff with the... Oh yeah, it's clicking on itself. Yep, touchscreen isn't actually being responsive either again. Oh yeah. It's still got some issues. But that's the general how to get rid of the corrosion. I'll have to go back in there and clean them up a little better probably. Probably easier off camera. Yeah, the touchscreen's having issues. But it gets you the gist of it. Oh, let's see. Oh, nope, it's definitely trying to open stuff on its own. It does look like we have antenna though. Antenna is back on at least. So we've made one improvement. We still got to work on the screen connector some. But that's how it works. You usually got to do it a couple times. But like I said, get you the gist of it. If you have any questions, post them in the comment. Like, subscribe if you want. Thanks a lot.